Hello and welcome to Kindred Academy, the show that deals with all things Vampire the Masquerade, 5th edition. I'm Peter.
And I'm Carlos, and on today's lesson, the Ministry.
Previously known as the Followers of Set. The Ministry have many names. They are known as ministers and often seen as spiritual leaders. They're also known as corruptors and seen as peddlers of vice and kindred that are representing the worst of vampiric society, that lurk in the shadows and bring people down to their level. They are also often called derogatorily snakes as well, and that kind of embodiment of something which can be hypnotic and charming, but also dangerous and corrupting, very much sums them up.
And this comes from the origins of the Ministry, or as they were known, the Followers of Set, as Peter was saying. And they do follow Set, the ancient Egyptian god. And this is a very interesting difference from, it departs completely from other clans. They believe that the first kindred, the first vampire, was Set, not Cain, in the case of other clans. So this represents a complete different set of beliefs about the origins of their kindred society and their lineage. And some people even take it to faith. Some of them revere Set to a religious level, seeing him as a god that walked the earth. And they can have a very strong case, they can make a very strong case having this Egyptian civilization over 5,000 years old, and having all things like the curse of the Eye of Ra, and the sun being the reason why the sun is a bane of kindred. They have a lot going on for their case, but they are not the mainstream, and other clans treat them as outsiders. So in ancient times, they were restricted pretty much to the area around Egypt, Eastern Sahara, and the northern coast of Africa with the Mediterranean, and making inroads into what would be the lands of the Ashira, and we discussed with the Banu Hakim. Now, throughout time, they have been mostly kept to that area, and it is only in recent nights, well, mostly from Victorian era and in the last 150 to 100 years, that they have been integrating themselves with the greater globalized sort of world. And in modern nights, right now, they were, well, in these years, they were trying to make inroads into the Camarilla, standing as an independent clan, very staunchly, no alliances of any type with any sect. Now they're trying to ally themselves with the Camarilla because they are looking for strength in numbers. And they were doing so at the same time as the Banu Hakim, as we discussed in their video. But there was a very big difference in the meetings that took place to sort of iron out the details of the alliance or the joining of either of these clans. And the meaning of the Setites blew up, literally. A massive explosion, kindred from both the Camarilla and the Ministry were killed, and it was seen as a very bad, let's say, start. So the Ministry mostly have the individual minister that is allowed into a Camarilla city because of who they are and not because of the clan allegiances they would have. But the Ministry as a whole ends up aligning themselves closer to the Anarchs, or remaining independent in whatever realm they can find.
So in terms of gifts of the blood that the clan have, they're very much a clan of shadows and sneakiness, and obfuscate is a very thematic discipline for them for that reason. Now, we often think of obfuscate as a discipline which just involves being hidden, but with the Ministry it's more about being sneaky, about being able to walk with people but blending in to overhear what you need to, or being able to wear the right face so that you are just what they want to see and you have just the right guise to be believed when you are spinning your tales. So obfuscate is a very nice discipline for them, and that allows them to do their work, but also fits into this idea of them being a little bit sneaky and a little bit underhand.
And another discipline that they have is protein, which is a very a very fresh perspective if you have been following the game for some editions. If you were a V5, a V20, or a previous edition player, you would remember that the followers of Set, the name they were going by at the time, it is they had the discipline of Serpentis, and right now Protein pretty much does everything that Serpentis did, only better. It allows them to grow massive dagger-like fangs, sort of like vipery fangs using feral weapons. It allows them to turn in themselves using shape change into massive serpents. It allows them to reposition their hearts via the higher level powers. And they don't need to follow the route of the gangrel. They can be their own thing. Protein is a very useful way of keeping the number of disciplines at manageable levels and not needing a bespoke discipline for a clan that actually doesn't need it. Protein serves them just right.
So they also have the presence discipline, which makes a lot of sense in terms of them being able to entrance and persuade people. But also there's a particular power, one of my favourite powers in fact, called Lingering Kiss, which has recently been updated and is worth checking out if you haven't seen it. And this is a power which enables the user, when they feed, to make that feed even more addictive than usual, to the point that that person will seek them out to be fed from again. At the same time, it also temporarily gives them a boost. And this idea about corruption, but also some kind of liberation with it, getting slightly stronger in one way whilst also losing out in another, feels really core to the clan and the way they operate.
And presence being a discipline that is carried by many clans, it of course is going to have many other powers, but now there is a new amalgam power in the Anarch book where the ministry are portrayed. That is a presence one power, but it's an amalgam of protein, basically making it the sole purview of the ministers. And it is Eyes of the Serpent. So bringing it to full circle to the relationship with old Serpentis, Eyes of the Serpent allows you to mesmerize a mortal or kindred, mostly a mortal, and keep them in place. With the eyes of a serpent, it allows for very easy feeding, but also very simple control, avoiding someone panicking or going wild. It is that sort of mesmerizing gaze of the serpent, and is very thematic to the clan.
So as well as gifts, of course, like all clans, they also have a curse. And this is a clan that does not like the light. So, all vampires hate sunlight, of course, but for the ministry it's even worse. Even in just a normally brightly lit area, they suffer, and it applies a penalty equal to their bane severity to checks that they make in brightly lit areas. In addition, if they are unlucky enough to encounter sunlight, not only will they take the normal damage, but they will take additional aggravated damage equal to their bane severity.
And something that also comes with the blood are compulsions, and the ministry has a very interesting compulsion called transgression. So whenever the beast is trying to force them to do something beyond what they would do, or in a different manner, transgression is the call of the Setite, of the minister's blood, on having someone or themselves go against their own beliefs. So according to that compulsion, you are going to be having dice penalties, and you're not going to be functioning well until you or you make somebody else or yourself break a conviction or a chronicle tenant and gaining a stain for it. And that would feel to the beast, which is controlling your compulsion, it's going to make it feel that a chain has been broken and now you're freer than before.
It's role-playing gold.
It is amazing.
And it's great. So there are in the Anarch book examples of ministry characters, and we would strongly advise you to read them and check them out because they're very cool. And we're also going to give you a couple of our own. So the one I'm going to talk about is potentially Conviction first. for a character. In the core book, there is a conviction around the truth being sacred. So we often associate the Ministry as a clan of lies, but this is actually a character who believes very much in truth and that the truth will set you free. Now, of course, their version of the truth may not be the truth, and of course the truth is often painful and can be damaging as well, which they are very happy about. So I imagine that this character was probably something like a spin doctor in life. And as a kindred, what they are trying to do is bring the truth out in political circles. We obviously have in kind of modern knights an issue around what the truth even is, and different people claiming different things to be the truth politically. And this is a kindred that tries to bring out the brutal truth wherever it is. They're also a character who wants to bring the truth of the Ministry back to the Camarilla, so they'll be seeking to build bridges there. And of course, everyone else will not believe the truth they tell, and that's part of the fun of playing the character.
Another concept is using the mortal approach, a mortal first approach, is that of someone who is already corrupt and who is already free from most of the shackles of normal society. They don't have that. They don't have they are uninhibited. They don't have the inhibitions of society, but in such a manner that they are basically vessels of vice and corruption and evil. And there are people like out there that don't actually have a moral compass. They don't do it with a purpose. They do it just for its own sake. So this is the type of character that allows you to explore the counterpart of liberation from the perspective, from the eyes of the Ministry. You need to free yourself. You need to release your soul from your mortal shackles, but that also implies doing things that make you feel good because they are good things. This is a character that is lacking that. They are doing all the naughty things that make you feel good, but they're not helping their fellow, their neighbor, or they're not protecting other people. They're not doing those good things that also set you free. So this is a character that probably has a single conviction, maybe one that is not even that strong. And whenever they feel like they can shield themselves from stains using their conviction, they get a little bit of that boost to their confidence and saying, well, this is another way of being free.
So those are examples we've given, but we're sure that you've got some of your own.
And this is this week's homework. Leave in the comments below your ideas for Ministry characters you have played in the past or would like to play. It would be very interesting to understand and see what's your approach and what you think of this clan, because there's many lies and myths and a lot of stereotypes in there. So we're waiting for them. And in the meantime, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we will see you in the next lesson. Bye.
Bye. Let's go over to Carlos and find out a bit more. I did it.
Come on.
I don't know what it is. There's that line. I'm like, I need a link line from that.
Let's go over to Carlos. Come on.